What's going on, guys? It's JB here, coming to you live this Thursday afternoon. Today is August the 15th, middle of the month already, 2024. We're fast approaching the end of August. Can't believe how fast this year has gone by. It's just ridiculous. They do say that as you get older, right? They say that as you get older, time goes by faster. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sure feels like it. Feels like the hands of time go by faster as you get older. Anyway, I want to take you back to some very dark moments that I had in my life. And this wasn't a long time ago. This was back 10 years ago. It started back in 2015. No, it started in 2014, December of 2014. I remember vividly. I was working for a company called CBS Interactive out of San Francisco. And I wasn't even directly employed by them. I was working through a staffing agency called Volt Workforce Solutions. And they actually brought me on board. And I was employed with that company between June of 2014 all the way up to December of 2014. I remember very distinctly that the reason why I got laid off from that job, it wasn't just myself. It was the entire division of the marketing department. We all got laid off, and the overwhelming majority of us were actually temp agents, temp employees. We were not even directly employed with a company. But the reason why we got laid off is because the CBS Interactive decided to move their marketing department to Louisville, Kentucky. Now keep in mind, this job was in San Francisco, California. You compare San Francisco to Kentucky, Louisville, where they probably pay you like 55 cents on the dollar compared to California, and then you realize why they decided to make that move, right? They wanted to pay a lower wage to the new hires in that state of Kentucky. Well, unfortunately, I got laid off. I didn't have any secondary or backup plan. This happened very abruptly. They actually gave us about a month and a half to notice that they were going to do this, that our final day was going to be in December. And so I had an opportunity during that period of time to actually apply for other jobs, which I did, to no avail. I actually also wanted to stay to the very end because I wanted to collect unemployment benefits. And sadly enough, as it turns out, I never applied for unemployment. I never applied for unemployment in January of 2015, so I never even got a dime for that 6 or 7 months that I was working with CBS Interactive. So anyway, once 2015, the very, very difficult moments began for me. I basically spent the next 5 years looking for jobs. 5 years of submitting resumes, submitting cover letters. Didn't have a single source of income. Nothing. Didn't even own a car back then. Didn't have a car, didn't have a job, didn't have any sources of income. And you gotta ask yourself, how the hell did you survive? How did you manage to survive those 5 years without a single source of income? Well, first of all, I was relying on my sisters. I have 3 sisters. 2 of them are the ones that I heavily relied on, and they basically loaned me some money. I got money, loans from them throughout those 5 years. I also had a couple of credit cards that I used, and to this day, as I mentioned in my previous videos, I still haven't paid. I still have a pending balance, which I plan on terminating over the next 6 months. I already made a payment, as a matter of fact, earlier this week, so I'm on my way to paying that debt fully and being debt free. But I was using credit cards. I was getting loans from my sisters, and I had a relative that wasn't charging me any rent during that period of time, if you can believe that. I could have very easily lived on the street if it wasn't for my relative that allowed me to live in their place for that period of time. Now, after that, I went back to my parents, and to this day, I continue to live with my parents, but I didn't want to go back to living with them. But those were some very, very dark moments, very dark ages for me. I didn't do anything. It is as though I didn't live those 5 years. It is as though I was dead for 5 years. I was basically dead on planet Earth. I was a dead man walking with no sense of purpose, or, well, actually, my direction was to find a job, and I couldn't find a job. Nobody made me an offer. And I remember walking back and forth to the library, walking to different places, and that was my routine. Every single day I would walk to the library. I would spend a couple of hours there because I had nothing better to do. Then I would come back. Then in the afternoon I would go to the gym for a couple of hours. Didn't even have money to pay for my membership. So what I did was, I basically, when I got my sisters to lend me money, I actually paid for my membership 1 year in advance, because I knew that if I didn't do that, I wasn't going to be able to pay my monthly gym membership obligation. So I said to myself, I'm going to go ahead and pay my gym membership a month and a year and a half, with a year in advance. As far as my cell phone bill is concerned, I don't know how I did it, but I constantly called the carrier, which was Sprint back in the day. They're no longer in business. They were acquired by T-Mobile. And I would call Sprint and I would ask for credits, pretending that my service wasn't working properly, pretending that I always had an issue with the service that they were providing me with, and I would call them to ask them if it was possible to get a one-time courtesy credit to alleviate the headaches that I was experiencing with my cell phone carrier. And that's how I was able to keep my cell phone service up and running, is through those types of credits. So they would put a credit on my account. By the time the bill was due, the credit that was sitting there on my account would actually offset my bill, and so therefore I wouldn't have to pay anything out of pocket. And I did this for many, many months. That's how I was able to get by and not pay that. As far as the food is concerned, my relatives were basically feeding me. The person that I was staying with actually cooked for me. So I was a very fortunate and very blessed man to have had that family member. If it wasn't for them, trust me, I don't know where I'd be today. I don't know if I'd be even relating this story to the YouTube audience. I probably would have been homeless. Who knows what would have happened with me. I just don't know what my fate would have been without the gracious and incredible support that they offered me during those very dark and just horrendous 5 years that I had of no income whatsoever. I mean, I would, from time to time, very, very seldomly, I would get like a little job here and there that would pay me like 70 or 80 bucks. And to me, that was like a fortune. To me, like, you know, getting like $200 was a big deal during that 5-year period of time, because I wasn't getting absolutely no income, no revenue whatsoever. And then when I finally realized, I don't know what happened to me, when I finally realized that, you know what, I should be applying for unemployment. I should have done this as soon as I got laid off from this company. By the time I did that, I was already past the the statute of limitation. I couldn't even apply for jobs. I mean, I couldn't even apply for unemployment anymore. They paid me the first check. I got a deposit for the first time, and then after that, they stopped making deposits into my unemployment card, my debit card. And then they made me pay that money back later on. And so I had to pay that money back later on when the pandemic occurred and everybody was applying for unemployment benefits. I had to pay that money back in order to get unemployment. So it was just a brutal, brutal period of time in my life. 5 years of misery, 5 years that I'll never get back, 5 years that I should have been at the peak of my career, 5 years in which I should have been making the most amount of money possible because I was in my 30s at the time. And yeah, I just wanted to relate to the YouTube audience what a horrific time that was for me. Between 2015 and I'd say 2019, yep. Between 2014 to 2019, 5 miserable years that I'll never get back. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching the video, as always. I will talk to you on my next video. Stay tuned for that. Hit the notification bell if you haven't done so. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. And I will catch you. If you're still watching at this juncture of the video, I really appreciate it. You guys are very supportive of me, and that takes dedication if you're watching to the very end here. Thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday.